Whoa, Cinda, looks like you've been out in the sun.
Oh,
It's,
I know. It was a beautiful day today.
we're just kind of getting past the mist, so it's a little bit. It's nice to have a little shawl on to stay a little bit warm.
Yeah.
You know what occurs to me that I want to throw out there for conversation is my experience in learning the power of silent and listening.
Mm.
Um, I didn't really learn that, how powerful that was, probably until my into my late 50s, early 60s. For me, it was always about actions and conversation and, you know, teaching, etc. And it took me being in a circle of women in a consistent fashion where the criteria was to listen deeply that I began to go like, whoa, this is a power that happens in this place of listening silence that I didn't know existed.
Mm.
So speak to us of your, what about listening? What is that as a gift or not? What has been your experience?
Yeah, you know, so when I was writing for an online magazine called Wild Sister years ago, I don't know if they exist anymore or not. I wrote an article called The Gift of Listening. So I love this conversation. And then since then, I've actually spoken about it. So this cracks me up that we're going to talk about the gift of listening. Let me preface this by one of the most powerful things I have learned from you. You know, when we've done so many things together now, and we've been together in circle, whether in person or online, is that you set a standard for listening to the women who are about ready to speak, and no one has ever crossed that boundary. You know, I think the Native Americans call it the talking stick that goes around the room and you aren't supposed to talk. But I've been with women who have tried to use the talking stick and it still doesn't matter. They still talk on top of each other. But you have set the standard for listening with so much respect and reverence for whoever is speaking that it's remarkable. So if you say you didn't used to do that and you've learned how to do it, you not only have learned how to do it, but now you're teaching others to do it so well. So thank you for that.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
Isn't it wonderful? I just want to put this out there for all of us to remember how important it is that we give feedback to each other, because I don't see myself in the observer experience as you don't.
Yeah.
So it gives us another checkpoint for ourselves. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the gifts that you have taught me and given me over and over and over again. Oh my gosh. So my story, when I realized the importance of the gift of listening, is which I call it, is I remember that I was at the beach. It was a family reunion, and there was an older woman among us, and everyone was down at the beach playing. And I think I was probably in my mid-30s. I mean, I was a mother of young children. And so I think my husband was down there with the kids. Anyway, so I came out of the bedroom of the house I was staying in, and this older woman was there. And I was like, oh, shoot, because I know when she starts talking, you cannot get away. And she holds you hostage. And I knew when she saw me and she lit up that, oh, I'm trapped. And there was no escape. And I felt like a caged animal. And I thought, how, I don't want to be rude, but I want to get down to the beach and play with the families that are down there, my relatives, my own kids. And she's there. And I'm just like, oh, God. And so I quickly thought, well, okay, maybe I'll do the dishes. So I went to go do the dishes, you know, and then but then when they were done, you know, I was just like, but I couldn't vacuum because if I vacuumed, how rude would that be? And so I just resigned myself to the fact that I would be stuck with this woman listening. So I don't even remember what she was saying, but I listened out of politeness. It began with politeness. I had nothing against this woman. I mean, she's a lovely woman. Please understand that. And so I listened out of respect and kindness. And then the story kept going, right? It kept going. And I felt this anxiety rise up within me, this need to run, this desire to escape. And I didn't, you know, I was looking for my exits, and then something came to me. And it was like, just give her the gift of listening. Just listen. It's not going to harm you. It's not going to hurt you. Give her the gift of listening. You know, this, I'm having this conversation in my head as she's talking. And so I took a deep breath and I got really quiet and I just kind of leaned back into myself and listened. And Sharon, what came from that was life-changing for me. She saw my shift in acceptance of listening, like when I leaned back into myself and made myself fully present for her. The first thing that happened behind her eyes was, okay, I'm like, I could read it. I mean, I could read it clear as day. Okay, I got her. Quick, what am I going to say now? What am I going to say now, right? And there was a minute when I read that and felt her energy that I'm like, oh crap, I've just opened the door to be here for 2 hours more, right? But then that shift in her quickly went to gratitude. And that gratitude that I felt from her made me realize that she went, oh my God, I'm not invisible. I am not invisible to this woman in front of me. And I felt this is all split second, right? All split second. And I'm reading her gratitude. And in that moment, I recognize the gift. And how often do I not truly lean back in myself and give this open-hearted gift of listening? Because the reaction that this older woman had was so profound, you know, so life-altering when I realized her gratitude, her thank you for seeing me. Thank you for hearing me. Thank you for giving me value in this moment. Thank you for honoring me in this moment, because I really do have something to say. I have a life well lived, and I need someone to share it with. Thank you for being that person right now in my life. And so I sat there. I went and I sat down on the couch, and she sat down on the chair, and I don't remember what we discussed, but I remember leaning in and listening. And she, and in that moment, everything shifted in her, everything. And then it shifted in me. And that moment of the gift of listening. So I take that wherever I go, and I remember usually someone's desperation to talk is that need to be heard and seen. And when we give someone that gift of listening and we lean back first within ourselves, and then we lean in and forward to listen, the gift that they receive of being heard, of being seen, of being valued is life-changing for both parties. So, you know, yeah. And you do that so well, but for mother with chaos. I even learned to do it with my kids.
Yeah.
Instead of running around and running and doing projects, errands, I just sit down, lean back into
Mhm.
myself, lean forward into them, and give them the gift of listening.
So true. I just add my validation to that power that is in the listening. There are some experiences that cannot be transformed and need not be transformed through process. They are only released when someone vicariously experiences it with us,
Mm-hmm.
which is only done
Mm-hmm.
in listening.
Mm-hmm.
It takes me back to the statement that says, your presence is enough. And we are so many of us so into the doing, and we do enough that we don't even understand what that means. But you can practice it just in that space of the gift of listening. Just when your presence is that I'm leaning back. Now I'm ready to hear you and observe your presence. The magnificence shows through.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah. It was just a really powerful moment. And I know when I wrote about it and then I shared what I'd written, it mattered to a lot of people. And I've created even meditations around it where we call in those into our circle, into our mind's mind about, those who we know we didn't listen to.
ah,
And ask for forgiveness and tell them I'm listening now.
perfect.
Whether it be from the other side, whether it be a commitment when we see them again, I am listening now. And then when I'm with someone and my schedule is long and my day is busy and I don't feel like I have the time to listen, I remember this story with this older woman from, a million years ago, it seems like, and I just go, oh, and in the back of my head, I immediately have this mantra of my gift to you is I'm listening. And sometimes I need to repeat it silently over and over and over again in my head until until I can silence the anxiety that I have that I've got other things I need to be doing instead. My gift to you is I'm listening. My gift to you. And then when their story drones on, my gift to you is I'm listening. What is truly a few more minutes in time when we can give the gift of listening to someone? It's so necessary.
It is.
It's so necessary that I see you, I hear you, I acknowledge you. Excuse me.
Thank you, Cinda. Beautiful, beautiful concept to be with. As
Well, I just love that this subject came up in our conversation today. Thank you. It was fun to remember.
oh, I loved it. Okay. Well, let's see what next. There's always going to be a next with us. So what next?
Love you, my friend.
Bye.